Welcome to the LifeStruction with Eric podcast. I am your host, Eric. Take the time to share this out. Hit that share button. Share it out. It's going to be short and sweet, but I'm glad you're here. Glad you tapped in. It's Monday. Happy Martin Luther King Day. Hopefully you guys got out and did something today, participated in some of the events going on in your city for Martin Luther King. Hopefully you guys got out and took part in some of it. As most of you know, most of you that follow me on social media anyway, my dad passed away last Tuesday. And first, I'd like to say thank you to everyone that has reached out to me in some sort of way, text messages, social media, the phone calls, received a few flowers. Thank you guys, for reaching out. Yeah, last week about Tuesday of last week rather, I was pretty numb. Getting that phone call that someone very close to you passed away, especially when you weren't expecting it, it can be pretty pretty rough on you. It can be pretty rough, and it can numb you up. It can really get you in a bad place where you just shut out everything. And I pretty much had shut down everything, and man, it's been hard. But want you guys to know that I definitely have, your prayers has definitely been felt on my end. The prayers definitely have been felt. And I'm like, I pretty much shut down everything. And then my mentor reached out to me, and he was like, I need you to do one thing. You have to remember, this is pretty much what you do on a daily basis. You're actually, taking a course right now to be certified, to coach people, to be that international speaker. So it's your job to speak to people that's going through what you've been going through. So basically, he said, now is the time for you to use the tools that you've been pouring into everybody else. And now is your time to, use what you've been giving out. In so many words, it's time for you to practice what you've been preaching. And he referred me back. Because I'm like, so you telling me I'm supposed to continue encouraging people? I should continue with my podcast. And he was like, very well, yes, you should. And he texted me. He said, go to chapter 3 of your book. And I want you to read and read and read until something pops out, till something stands out at you that kind of helps you with what you're going through right now. And so seriously, so I went to my book and I read and read and read, and I got to this portion here. And it basically says that loss can be a trigger for many to go back to the way that they were. Sometimes it's hard living with that type of pain and trying to keep a positive mindset and at the same time remain sober. And it pretty much took me back. It was a great eye opener for me. As soon as I start to read this paragraph. It reminded me of where I was at over 20 years ago and basically where I'm at now. And, 20 years ago, and if my dad had happened to pass at that time, the family probably wouldn't have been able to find me because I'd have been out in the streets, doing Lord knows what. Uh, 20 years ago, I definitely wouldn't, I wouldn't, have the clothes to wear to the funeral. I wouldn't have, you know, the right mindset that I have now, that just like people have been checking in on me, I've been checking in on family as well. And more than anything, when my phone ring, I answer it. Cause when you're out doing the wrong things and people are calling you, you're not going to answer your phone. So it reminded me, of back when, I lost my nephew, when my brother-in-law passed, when my brother passed. And the same Eric that I am today, I was then. And basically, I was able, to, it's okay to mourn, just don't lay there too long. Just don't lay there too long, because unfortunately, life has to go on, when you weather a storm. So you have to push yourself through that storm. You have to stay prayed up. You have to remember that God will get you through this thing. And a few days into it, it was like I heard God tell me, get up, get up and do what I have called you to do. And I still wasn't like obedient that day where I got up and, started doing my daily norm. But I did read, I did start reading like I normally would read. I started to pray more. And the more I prayed, the more that strength came back. And yeah, yesterday was the first day that I really felt like I had climbed out of that hole that I had been in. You know, I felt a little victorious yesterday. I did. My wife, her and I, we were able to joke around. The comedian came back in me for a little bit. Today, I was kind of in the funk early on, and uh, then we went out for a little bit, and the comedian came back in me again. So, it's those ups and downs. And, one of the things that kind of got to me, I'm like, should I do my podcast today or should I not do it? And my mentor was like, no, you need to do it. And once again, in my book, as I read, it's funny because I really don't even remember writing this part, but it basically talks about, just because some people carry this thing called life well doesn't mean that life isn't heavy. But basically, you have to concentrate on becoming who you are created to be and not impressing others. So you have to wake up each day ready to invest in your faith and a will to fight just for today. And yeah, that alone speaks volumes, just for today, just for today. You got to do it one day at a time. So yeah, if you've we all are we all have these storms that we go through, but we just have to figure out how to weather that storm. And the main thing is we just have to do it one day at a time. Sometimes it's second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour. But if you push through, you can put that one day together, and then it's one day after the other, and one day after another. You keep putting those days together, and you'll find yourself pushing through, and you'll find that the sun will begin to shine on the outside. And that's not only with death, it's with sickness, if with recovery from addictions, it's bouncing back from a relationship that you may have been in. Any of that is basically, you got to do it one day at a time. You got to do it one day at a time. And you're exactly correct, Lakeitha. It's when we don't want to do it is when we have to do it. Because even though I'm going through something, you on the other end could be going through something much more in depth than I am, and I have to keep pushing through because somebody out there just may be dependent on me. And sometimes that person that's dependent on you may not even have a clue what you're going through. So you can't call them selfish because they might not even know that you're going through something. So we still have to, suit up, boot up, and show up, in spite of, we have to continue, you know, to suit up and be there for others. So yeah, so I'm just grateful, for my tribe. I'm grateful for all of the people that, constantly, reach out to me, not only to check on me and let me know that you're praying for me, but before this even happened, the people that reach out to me and let me know how, you know, my encouraging words are helping you. Because once again, when my mentor reached out to me and said, now it's time for me to practice what I preach, I actually, reflected back on a lot of the things that I have, spoke out, to my LifeStruction family, in the past almost 2 years. And I was able, to use a lot of that. One of my favorite scriptures, weeping may endure only for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. And that's what I have to keep on replaying in my mind and replaying in my mind and replaying in my mind. And, one of the things that I get joy out of, you know, is sometimes some of the places that we find our strength, when we can look back on things and pull strength out of it. My dad, he was in the early stages of his dementia, and I had my book signing, and he drove all the way down to my book signing, which was like 3 hours, and he really shouldn't have, made that drive, but he did. And we had no clue. I knew something wasn't right with him. His body language and his conversation was a little short because my daddy was a talker just like me. So I knew something was weird, but wasn't sure exactly what. And then we had a family gathering at my nephew's house, like that next year, and we had no clue. And he drove all the way there. There was like almost 2 hours. We didn't have a clue about that, but God protected him. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, but he really wanted to be there for me. He wanted to be there for us. And he pushed himself and drove there, just so he could spend that time with us. So, just so it's moments like that that I'm able to, look back on and find joy, find joy in it. My dad, he was never happy with the life that I was living. Go back 25 years ago, but he, pretty much talked to me like he didn't know that I had a problem, even though he knew. But he would, throw those one-liners in there that let me know that he knew exactly what I was doing. And those one-liners, each time he would throw one at me, it would hit me dead in the gut. And I'm like, oh man, this is embarrassing. I'm in my 30s, and I'm just like a disappointment to him. And the more and more he did it, the more and more that my mom prayed for me, the more that urge for me to use went away. And once again, I was able to reflect on that this past week. The more and more you reflect on stuff, the more and more that pain starts to diminish because you're able to, look back on the memories and just not lay in the sorrow of the situation, because at the end of the day, we all are on borrowed time. And we're all on borrowed time. Our time on this earth is borrowed. Our parents, they bring us into this world, but we're lended to them from Christ, just like our parents are lended, to us. So either they're going to go before us or we're going to go before them. But we all have our predestined time and place when we're going to leave this earth. The thing is, what's your relationship with your loved ones? Ask yourself, what's your relationship with your loved ones? Are Do you have a good relationship with your parents? Do you have a good relationship with your siblings? Do you have a good relationship, with your children? Because if something was to happen to them tonight, how would you feel tomorrow when you woke up knowing that they left this earth and you didn't have a good relationship with them? So all of these instances that's been planned, throughout my mindset for the past week, I can actually say, you know, my dad and I had a great relationship. My mother and I have a beautiful relationship. My siblings and we have great relationships. I have great relationships with my children. Some of my, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not going to say friends. Some of my associates, I could work on some of the relationships with them. Um, but for the most part, family wise, I'm okay. But there's always someone that you can, you know, kind of create a stronger bridge over that communication that you have with them that will strengthen that relationship. So I just encourage anyone that's listening or watching this, you know, just reflect back this evening, reflect back over your relationships that you have with those that you're connected to, and ask yourself, is my relationship strong enough with them if they were to pass today, or if I were to pass? If I was to leave this earth overnight, who is it that you think would really, really sob because they know that one of us wronged each other? So, with that being said, if you can think of someone, I encourage you to reach out to that person, reach out to them, and just try to make it right. Just make it right, because tomorrow isn't promised to anyone. We see it every day to the week. Every day to the week. If you don't watch the news, you get to pop up on your phone. You know, people going to the other week in Virginia, this teacher went to school, 6-year-old boy carried a gun to school. This teacher in the classroom teaching, the last thing she's thinking about is getting shot by a student, but it can happen the blink of an eye. I was going to work last week and there was a pileup on the freeway. 5 people lost their lives, you know, and that's people that left out, had no clue that they wouldn't be returning home to their family, had no clue that they weren't even going to make it into work, and so life can, sometimes it's sickness, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just, a tragic accident that in the blink of an eye, you're gone. Another thing, you know, if you are experimenting with drugs and you think that, you keep on, dodging the bullet, you keep dodging the bullet, you cannot keep putting that poison into your body and think that it's not doing something on the inside of you. It's tearing your insides up. And if you've been using and using and using for years, and now in your mindset, you're telling yourself, well, I've been doing it for all of these years. There's no need for me to stop now. The devil is a liar. I rebuke that type of thinking out of your mindset this evening. I rebuke it. You are better than what your mind is telling you. You better stop, because that next hit could be your last hit. So if you've been experimenting with drugs for years and you think that you're untouchable, I'm here to tell you, that next hit could be your last hit. Get it right. Get it right. But yeah, as I was stating about weathering that storm, guys, it's up to you when you're faced with your storm, because all of us has that season. And I really believe that this first season of 2020, this first season of 2023 is definitely going to be a season for me and my family. We have, people in our family that sickness has come over, and we've been praying, that God will bring healness over them if it's his will. But when we pray, we can't pray those one-sided plans, uh, prayers, because it's not always in God's will to heal. Sometimes it may go the other way. So we have to be prepared either way, you know. And me and my sister was talking last week, and I said, it's it's one thing to have faith, but sometimes it's all about reality as well. We can have faith to the end, but sometimes reality hit in, and you have to realize it may not go that way that we're praying. So we have to be prepared for either way that it goes. But uh yeah, I truly believe that my family is in a season right now, um where we're going to go through test after test after test. So we just have to stay prayed up. We just have to stay encouraged. you know um I was watching something yesterday, and he was talking about weight, the weight that we are carrying, you know, and we're in a season, he said, that we're faced with blocks and we're faced with clocks. So basically, you know, weight, WEIGHT, and weight, WAIT, it ain't the same. You know, you got your weight that's heavy, but then you got the weight that you have to wait to see what's going to happen in this season. That weight that you are carrying is something, that's blocking you. You don't have to carry that weight, you know, because you can give it to God and try to walk a little lighter. But when you have to wait, that's a whole different type of experience. And if you are not willing to say, God, I trust you, and I'll wait to see what's behind that door, you know, whether it be, to the left or to the right, I'm going to have to trust you on this one. And that's basically how we're going to have to weather that storm, this year. So ask yourself, are you faced with, what weight are you faced with? The WEIGHT or the WAIT? Are you faced with the block or are you faced with the clock? And that's, basically how you're going to figure out how you're going to weather your storm. Either way, you got to give it to God and trust him, either way that it goes, the sun will shine on the other side. The sun will shine on the other side. So yeah, that's my spiel basically for today. That's my spiel. I just want to come on and mostly just thank everyone that's just been, lifting my family and I up in prayers. Those of you that just continue to, keep me encouraged. Hey, we just gonna keep each other encouraged. We're gonna keep each other encouraged. Real quick, with so much going on, this past week, going into this next week, my schedule is going to be pretty much off. So I prayed on it, prayed on it, prayed on it. And for those of you that's in Arizona, there's a few of you in Virginia that were planning to travel here, I decided to postpone my New Year, New Me gala that was scheduled for February 25th. We will be rescheduling it, but we decided, to not go forward with it. But we will be letting you know in the next couple of weeks what that rescheduled date will be. Any of you that know me, if I can't do something uh, basically flawlessly, we're not going to do it. And at this point, with us missing pretty much 2 weeks or so in the planning stage, I just felt like it wouldn't be able to be done, to our liking and to our best interest. So um, we will be rescheduling that. But thank you guys so much for tapping in. Um, I think I told you guys last week, be sure to subscribe. Go to my anchor link. I'll post it on my page when I'm done with this episode here. But go to my anchor page and subscribe to that. be sure to subscribe. We have a link on there, and you can subscribe and do a monthly donation. That monthly donation helps me with things like running ads on other platforms so people can go and watch the podcast on YouTube. People can go and listen to it on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can subscribe and do a one-time payment, a monthly payment of 99 cents. That's the minimum. You can do all the way up to, I believe, $20. But yeah, be a blessing. Be a blessing, and go to that link, click on it, subscribe, and help support me. It would be greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. I decided to, come on early. I know the Dallas Cowboys are playing today. I do not like the Dallas Cowboys, but I do not like Tom Brady. So I'm going for the Dallas Cowboys. So I decided to come on early so I could get this out of the way before the game comes on, and you guys can give your full attention to some foosball. But yeah, thank you for pulling up on me on this Monday. I love all of you. Thank you so much for staying connected with me. And yeah, we will be back next Monday. Hopefully, hopefully I have a guest for you guys next Monday. And as I stated, if you know someone that has a story and they would like to come on here and tell their story, send them my info. Send them my info and have them tap in. Have them to tap in. But thank you guys so much um, for tapping in. For those of you in Virginia, if you would like to come out to my dad's services, it will be next Saturday up in Tappahannock. I'll post that information on my site as well. So if you would like to come to the homegoing service, you're more than welcome to come. I will be posting that on my page as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tapping in. Love you so much. And you guys have a great week, okay? Be blessed.